All right, let's.
I think we can get off.
We got it right. My parole officer is watching. All right, David, you said you were going to push back. So let me premise. We're talking about sales. Sales isn't just about, or sales isn't about the relationship, which is, kind of apostasy to say that. We said sales is built on trust, and we're talking about the authenticity and transparency. That's what lays trust. And then from there, you can build relationship. And we talked about that before I hit record. And David was going to, it seems like, push back a little bit on that, or maybe give a different perspective. Probably
no, let's say I'm going to ask a question.
Ooh, I like this. See,
okay.
This is how you build trust, by asking questions. By the way,
it's right, one of the ways, right? So, or coming through on what you say you're going to do. That's another way to build trust, right?
Keeping commitments, absolutely. Which I failed this morning, son of a gun.
So here's a question for all of you, and that is, I'm assuming in asking this question that over the last 2 years, you've been doing a lot of networking online and meeting people who you've never met, probably in different parts of the world, such as Cartagena versus Pittsburgh versus Denver, as examples. And that you have a meeting with them. How many of these people have you actually had multiple meetings with, 3, 4, 5 meetings, who weren't direct prospects for you, or for whom you weren't direct prospects for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a couple of things. So let me parse this. Not a lot, right? So and so I can blame the fact that busy startup, that kind of thing, and we can blame that. The other thing that we could blame is I am not much of a relational guy, but there are several that I have a small community of people that I really trust, and they push me, and I push them, and so we've really built a decent relationship. So I'd say a handful in the last year or so. So I don't know if that's a little or a lot, but the relationships that I do have are pretty deep, or pretty, we hit it. I mean, we get in each other's faces, and we grow people. So I don't know if that answers your question directly or not.
I'm just curious, because to me, that's building the relationship. If you never talk to these people again, can you call it a relationship? I would say probably not.
Yeah, and it's a good point. So, and I guess the reason for me raising this is that the reason I'm suggesting that we build it on trust as opposed to relationship is so many people don't know how to build trust, or they don't know how to build relationship. So they have this high need for approval, or they won't have the difficult conversations that are needed to get down to the root cause. Because most of the time, if people knew what the real problem was, there's enough information out there that they'd already solve it. And my hypothesis is this, that we in sales have to have those challenging conversations, right? So I know Josh joined us here. He's reading Critical Conversations. I know that what people are doing is not really having those crucial conversations, those difficult conversations. Therefore, they're not diving down to the root cause. And so they're just going to put a Band-Aid on it as opposed to truly fix it. And oftentimes they don't feel as though they've built the relationship to ask those difficult questions. So I suppose, David, that's why I'm trying to parse this out, that it's not just about the relationship, it's more about building the trust so you can really ask those hard-hitting questions. Josh, your thoughts on that? Just throwing you in on the mix as you join us here.
Yes. I think it's good always I work better in team atmosphere than I do. And so sometimes working remote, you can feel like you're on your own island. So hopefully I'm coming in on the right topic, but I like this community aspect because that's how I can learn best practices from everyone else based on little tweaks that might be difference between 2 meetings a day or 1 meeting a day.
Yeah. So, and the idea here, what I wanted to hit, and then we can move on to the next topic, if there are other questions that we want to make sure that we cover here today, is what yes means. So whenever we do this initial agreement, or whenever we initially engage with somebody. So if we want to take the Sandler vernacular, and David, I'd like to see how you teach your people to do this, to set it up, or just an overarching good meeting, right? You want to identify the purpose of the meeting to make sure that you're actually all on the same page, because I can't believe how many times that goes off. So you want to identify the purpose of the meeting, reconfirm the time that you have allotted, right? So as salespeople, a lot of times you say, hey, we still good for a half hour, and they go, no, I got 5 minutes, or something's changed. Oftentimes they'll push back on you, because if you're a bad salesperson and they expect you to waste time, they're just going to throw out, no, I need to leave here in 5, 10, 15 minutes, just to test your will, to make sure that you're bringing value the whole time. But other times, yeah, it's legit. So you really have to smoke that out a touch. So you reconfirm the time, and then you make sure that you cover the agenda. And there's all different ways that you can do that. You know how to do it, but you do the agenda. And the last part, and I think this is what most people miss, is what are the potential outcomes? And oftentimes, for example, in Sandler vernacular, whenever I was back with a Sandler, and it's well known out there now, on the outcomes, you're supposed to drive for the no. So think of Chris Voss, never split the difference, go for the no, because there's no pressure in no. And a lot of people hate that. Then they try it out and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So it's kind of like, it's really easy to say that I die for you, because, well, you really don't have to do that, right? But it's harder to live for somebody, right? Because that means it takes effort and a challenge. So people can say, hey, go for the no, because it's like saying I'm dying for you, but identifying what yes means. See, if you can identify what yes means with specificity, that's whenever you really uncover the truth of what is going to be covered here today and what do we need to cover here today. So that's the idea of laying this out, this agreement in advance in terms of time or purpose, time, agenda, and outcome, and being very specific on what yes means, because that's whenever the real, what their intentions are going to come out. So let me just pause there. I rambled a bit. Get some feedback, thoughts on that. Hate it, love it, use it. What do you do there?
I personally love it. The way I see it is, think about being a chef at a restaurant, and somebody comes into your restaurant and they can't say one word to you, but you're in charge of building out this perfect dish for them, right? And so you have to ask them, so are you more of a salty person? Are you more of a sugary person? And then as you get closer to that yes, you start building out that dish for them. You know what I mean? So I mean, I think that's kind of the way I do it. A lot of my tactics come from the Will Smith movie Hitch. You know what I mean? Where we're on a date and I'm kind of giving you the lead while I'm actually leading. You know what I mean? So that's kind of, I like that restaurant analogy where it's like you're coming in, you don't have to tell me anything. Let me just figure out what that perfect dish is for you to say yes to, you know? So that's the way I would do it. And I think that's the way you should be doing it if you want to make somebody feel special. And I think prospects love that. You know what I mean?
So David, curious how that aligns with a Dale Carnegie kind of approach, or how you're teaching your clients.
You mean when you say that, you're saying the defining what yes means?
Yeah, or the very beginning, that process, the very beginning to set the stage for the rest of the meeting. Or the rest of the conversation, because you can even use this on a telephone call or prospecting call.
Well, keep in mind at Dale, it's not, Dale does a fair amount of sales training, but the core competency is all about interpersonal communications. Okay. And the core to interpersonal communications is listening. So if you're not willing to do that listening up front, and if you're not willing to set the stage and making sure you understand what the goals are, et cetera, then you're not following any of those types of tactics at all.
Okay, got it. So, and really, here's what I found. Whenever I was a Sandler trainer, you had to learn all the tactics and strategies, and then you didn't really look at too much out there. But if you look, I went back and I listened to Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? It's like nothing new under the sun. I mean, it's all the same. And the point that David makes is really profound, is how do we make sure that we listen well and set expectations. So here's my idea. And I learned this from, let me give credit where credit's due, a guy by the name of John Rosso. He's a couple-time author, really good guy within the Sandler training. He taught me that if you identify with specificity what yes means, in that early on agreement, weird things will happen, like transparency from the prospect or the potential buyer. So let me give you a real case in point. I was out closing meeting with a potential client. We had this second or third meeting with a potential client. So it was, small to mid-sized business, probably about a $50,000, $60,000 order. So not huge, not an enterprise deal, but okay. So whenever we were doing this, I said, hey, listen, here's my understanding for where we are, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of this, one of a couple of things is going to happen. One is we decide officially, this is not what anyone's looking for. So if I identify that I can't help you, which I don't think is going to be the case because of how far we've come, we've scoped this out together. I'll at least let you know. Are you going to be okay with that? Yeah, sure. And again, I'll ask for that same transparency on your end. If you don't think that we're what you're looking for, you don't hear it, see it, just let me know, and let's work on that together to see if we can't create exactly your solution. Comfortable with that? Absolutely. Okay. Now, here's what yes means. And this is what most people don't do. And again, from John Rosso, thank you for this. Here's what yes means. Yes means that we'll identify the participants in the training, create the kickoff dates, ensure that we have exactly the outline of all the topics that we want to cover. I'll send you over the agreement, and we'll schedule that initial kickoff date. We comfortable with that? She goes, no, not at all. I said, oh, okay. In the old days, that would have freaked me out and I've gotten super scared. I said, well, what were you hoping to cover today? She goes, well, we don't even know who's going to participate. I said, okay, well, we should probably identify that. We don't know what all topics, we haven't finalized the topics. I said, okay, let's make sure that we do that too. And we don't even know when the kickoff date is going to be and how we're going to schedule that. I said, well, why don't we do that too? She goes, okay, well, if we do all of that, then yeah, we would feel comfortable moving forward. I said, okay, got it. So curious thing is she said exactly what I did, but she's so used to other salespeople coming in and just going for the close or shoving stuff down her throat that it had to come from her words. Go ahead, David.
Brian, it's interesting because I'm listening to you say that, and this is coming from a guy who has spent a lot of time in sales and sales process and training, et cetera. But the way that you just described that to me sounded fairly aggressive.
Okay.
And that was me listening to it as opposed to presenting it. If I were presenting it, maybe it wouldn't sound as aggressive to me, but it sounded to me like you were doing a trial close up front before you ever got into it.
But you're right that I was doing that. Now, keep in mind of context, because context matters. This is the third meeting that we've had. We've spent probably 2.5, 3 hours together. So
okay, you need that context in order to know it. Yeah, okay, that's fine. This is what we're going to do today. If we're satisfied today, this is what our outcome is going to be. That's perfectly legit. That makes sense. I'm thinking first meeting, first conversation.
Well, now let's go. Let's touch on that. If we're in a one call close sale, okay, I would switch it up. So if it's a one call close sale, so anyone in here in a one call close sale? Okay, so here's how I might do it in a one call close sale. It would be something along the lines of this. It would be, hey, David, appreciate the time here today. Want to make sure that we use your time wisely here. What all do you want to make sure that we cover here, that at the end of this, you can make a couple of decisions, right? Because that's my goal here, David, is to allow you to be extremely comfortable in a decision. And I would see this as being one of 3 decisions. One decision is, oh my gosh, this is the worst idea ever. There's no way I'm doing this. And if I find out from our end that I don't think that we could help you and I come to that decision, you shouldn't do it, I'm going to be extremely transparent with you and save you time. So David, are you comfortable if I let you know, hey, this is not a fit? David shakes his head yes, and you can come off mute and role play this with me.
Yeah, no, I would say I'd be comfortable with that.
Okay, and do me a favor too. We think that we're pretty good, but clearly not the right solution for everyone. So if you get the sense that this isn't what you're looking for, would you give me that same transparency and just let me know, hey, this isn't a fit, and I promise I'll wait to cry until after I get off the phone with you here today.
I don't know if I'm comfortable doing that.
Okay, well, please, would you? All right, but now on the flip side,
No one's going to say no to you on that, Brian. They can't. They will do it, but they won't tell you they're going to do it.
yeah, right. Now they might not, right? So, and we'll keep going on that, and I'll touch on it. Now, on the flip side, David, we might say, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And if that's indeed the case, and I don't know if we'll get there, but if that's indeed the case, then what that would look like is I'll send you over the simple agreement, or you can sign up right online. All you have to do is enter your credit card and we can get started. Or maybe we'll need to come back one final time before we make that decision. But bottom line here, David, what I'm hoping to do is allow you to make the right decision, whether with us or not. So we comfortable with all of that?
Hey guys, I have to tell you that there's no doubt in my mind, Brian's in the wrong business. He should be selling for confirmed.
I tell them that all the time, all the time.
So that's the way I would play it for a one call close. Now, notice a couple of things. One is, and this is critical, start with the no. If you don't start with the no, then you won't hear the no, because it would sound like this. Hey, Owen, listen, I appreciate you coming along here, blah, 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 blah. Listen, at the end of this, I'm going to ask you to, if this all makes sense, then we'll go ahead and ask you for your credit card and get started. Or if, maybe this isn't working out, you can just let me know. See, there's more pressure if you start with the yes. That no sets up the clarity and specificity for you, the yes. So that's why in doing this, you want to start with that no first and then go to the yes. Okay. Question. Now, here's the challenge that you're going to find on that, and I'll ask a question off of this, but here's the challenge you're going to find off of that. It's super simple to understand. Really super easy to understand, but not as easy to do it. So the conversational, to be able to do it very conversational rather than monologue-y is going to be important. So let me pause and get some feedback, allow you to ask some questions.
So I have a question. What would you do if a prospect is just closed? In the sense that—
Can you give me an example? So I give you that upfront contract, be that closed person.
Sure. That's my response to you. Like, that's how closed I am.
Okay,
You know
got
what
it.
I mean?
So staying in role play. Hey, appreciate that. Well, actually coming out of role play, did you give me any agenda piece that you wanted to make sure that we cover?
Let's say the agenda is I'm a startup. I have nothing in my process. I'm just basically searching to build everything out, right? And you're a sales consultant, right? And you just exactly said that. You just built up the no. You said, hey, I want you to let me know. I want you to know. And I'm giving you a poker face. I'm like, sure. Okay,
got it. Back into role play. Alberto, it seems like my guess is with you being a startup. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it, David. Be well. Alberto, it seems like if you're like every startup that I know, you have zero time. So you probably had less than any time, or you probably know less than zero about us. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do this. Why don't I start off a 50,000-foot overview about some of our core competencies? And Alberto, the last thing I want to do, especially as you a startup where cash is king and you got to choose wisely, is if that doesn't align with anything that you're looking for, we'll know within 5 minutes. Is that fair?
Sure.
All right. And so here's my core competency. Here are core competencies. Core competency number 1, story. Core competency number 2, story. Core competency number 3, story. So let me just pause there, Alberto. Those are our core competencies. What, if any of those, are areas that you're looking to improve in your organization that's a worthwhile discussion?
I'm not really sure.
All right. So Alberto, I'm not sure what you're hoping to get here today, but it seems like maybe this is a little bit of a premature discussion.
Yeah, my partner told me you guys were sales consultants. We just created this organization last year. I was just hoping to see what you guys had to offer, to see if any of it was interesting to me. Yeah,
and it might not be. It seems like your partner kind of threw you under the bus. So what do you think now I'm going to have partner, you and he fight, right? Why do you think your partner asked you to do this?
He's more of the tech guy. So this is kind of when I'm in
Yeah,
charge
but you're
of.
the sales guy, right?
I am.
Okay, so what, I mean, you probably know it, how to do it. I mean, why in the world would you ever want to talk to a guy like me?
I don't have time for it. As you said, this is a startup. I need somebody to kind of help me build this out because I got to be doing other stuff like looking for funding.
Okay, so whenever you say build this out, and that might be an area that I could help you with, talk to me a little bit about, now I'm going to get the picture, right? So this is going a little bit more deeply, but let's play with this. So what I want to do is whenever you're about to enter that discovery meeting, we have to get the prospect to lay out the picture, right? The picture of as is today. So I'd say, hey, Alberto, we can help there. I'm not sure if our help would be appropriate for you. However, what help us both, I think, to be able to determine that more quickly. Can you paint for me the picture of what it looks like today? You know, it seems like you're leading salespeople, or the sales team. How many salespeople do you have? What's the onboarding process? What's your go-to-market strategy? Just 50,000-foot bullet point. What's that look like today? And then from that, once they paint the picture, here's the beauty of it. Okay, so now that gets him to talk. So he already started, even in role play, he started to open up a little bit because I didn't push. I was driving towards that Chris Voss, Sandler-esque, Challenger-esque no. There's no pressure in a no. So now I get him to talking, and now he's leaning into me. Now, here's the mindset that I have. My mindset is, listen, I don't know if I can help the guy. I think I can, but if I can't, I'm out the door because I don't want to waste his time or mine. And so that allows me to be more transparent. So off of that, I'd say, paint for me the picture as is. Josh, what do I do next? After I paint as is picture, what should I do next?
Paint the picture as is. Oh, then hit the panes.
Meaning?
Poke the bear. 3 questions. 3 magic questions
Not
after
quite
that?
yet. So this is going to be
Nope.
on the first time appointment ever. So that's going to be on a prospecting call. So the 3 magic questions that I would ask on a prospecting call would be, well, hey, can you give me an example? Can you tell me, or can you give me an example of how that's showing itself? Because of that, what's happening? That's the impact. With or without my help, is this big enough to solve? That's the motivation. So those are the 3 magic questions that I would ask on the prospecting call. I can even do it in the first time appointment. But where I was going on this one is after I get them to paint as is, then I want to get them to score it, right? Because here's the deal. I can't say, hey, Owen, listen, in order for me to be able to help you and sell you, I need you to tell me maybe the 3, 4, 5 things that are the biggest problems for you. And then I'm going to go down and ask you questions on that to get to the root cause, to see if there's going to be a good return on investment and right business case. And if you're willing to spend the political capital, time and the investment to do all of this. And so that's what I really need you to do, is tell me those 3, 4, 5 things. Can you just tell me what those are? I can't ask that question. I would love to, but I can't. So instead I get Alberto to paint his as is. And then I go, all right, well, based upon that, give me a sense. I mean, how do you view that? One is, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I'm ready to fire everyone, to include myself. This is such a disaster. No, I'm not hearing that. A 10 is angels singing from above. Hallelujah. I'm getting and I paint what, paradise would look like. I'm hitting my sales numbers. My metrics are all right there. I have my leading and lagging indicators. I know exactly what every one of my salespeople are doing. They're hitting quota. We're surpassing quota. We're blowing out our revenue targets. We're blowing out our funding targets. Everything is awesome. That's a 10. And I'm not saying you're there yet either. 1 to 10, where are you? And you can't choose 7. So if I get them to set that up, then I can start digging down more deeply, because then he lays out, and I say that specifically, what are the 3, 4, 5, or I get him to paint that, and you can't choose 7. So Alberto, just make up a number. You can't choose 7.
Okay, 3.
3. 3's kind of harsh. You seem like you're doing better than the 3. Why a 3?
Well, we just got started. If you know about sales, and getting all the product stuff started. Yeah, definitely a 3.
Okay, so what are maybe the 3, 4, or 5 immediate steps that you could take to take that from a 3 closer to a 10? Knowing, maybe we'll never give ourselves a full 10. So that's how you get the 3, 4, 5 things, right? Whatever number it is. Now, if it's a really low number, you want to protect them, right? If we build trust, we want to protect their ego. They just really opened up to us, so we want to protect their ego. Well, it can't be that bad. I think you're being too hard on yourself. No, it's really a 3. Well, why a 3? Then I get examples. Well, it might be a 3. What are the 3, 4, 5 things that we should do to take it close to the 10? Now, if they say an 8 or 9, 10, well, my gosh, why in the world do you want to change anything? That sounds like it's pretty good.
So, like, are we even on this call?
Yeah, why are we even here? I mean, it couldn't do any better. So that's where you want to use that. So that's how you get into off of the upfront contract. I don't even remember how we got to this point, but that's how you end up starting down that path on a good discovery call. Oh, that's how we got there, Alberto, off of that really closed off person, right? So if we gave that upfront agreement at the beginning of this, right? Because that's the close. And David said it. If we close before we give anything away, because when do you have all of the leverage? At the beginning or end of the sales call?
Beginning.
And why the beginning, Josh? Because you're right.
Because you have control of it. They haven't hit any objections. You haven't heard any objections from them yet. And, it's like a blank piece of paper that you get to write from the beginning.
Okay, I like that, but there's also a couple of other reasons that are pretty important.
Is it just because that you haven't heard a no yet? There isn't a reason yet for them not to move forward, and so you can assume success?
In a way, but still looking for something a bit different. I only want to give it a shot. You'll probably get it wrong, but it will feel good to try.
I would have to guess maybe you're still in the discovery phase, figuring out what they need and what they want and what you could provide to them.
What is it that they want from you? Think about it. Why are they willing to have this meeting with you right now? Because they want what?
They need help.
They need help, but how do they identify whether or not you're the person that is going to help them? What do they need from you?
I don't know.
A solution? A solution?
Potentially a solution, but which if I describe my solution, what am I giving? I'm giving
you the answers.
Well, the answers are information, right? See, here's the thing. Our leverage, our capital is the information that we have, our ability to problem solve for them. And what most salespeople do is before they get a commitment, they just go and give all of their leverage away. So if I give you all of my leverage, hey, here's all my free information. Now pay me for it. Well, why would I? I've already got everything I need. So it's a delicate balance, right? That's why you want to ask for their commitment at the beginning before you give up all of their leverage. Now, there's another great resource. A guy by the name of Patrick Lencioni wrote a book called Getting Naked, and it's not what it sounds like. But in that book, it's written in an allegory or parable. I don't know how you call it, but it's a book that teaches you something in a story form, right? What's that called? Josh, you're the new grad. What's that called? It's an allegory?
Were they teaching the story form?
Yeah.
No clue. No clue. No idea.
All right. Do you know what, Owen?
I don't know.
Alberto?
No.
I don't know either. Anyway, so they teach it in that way. And it's it talks about acting as though you're already working with them before you start working with them. So it's a balance, right? We don't want to give all of the information away, yet we want to show that we have the ability to work with them and help them problem solve even before we're doing anything. It's a tension there. And if you can figure that out, that's whenever you start to really see sales skyrocket. So that's the idea that we can go with. All right, so we're at time and I want to be cognizant of that. Sorry for the snafu with the LinkedIn Live. That was a disaster. We'll figure that out on the next round. But I appreciate it. And then we'll kick it. So let's close it out with this. Quick lessons learned, way that you're gonna make application from today. Go around the room if you have one.
My biggest thing I learned today is starting with the no and not searching for the yes. Obviously, with no sales experience, this is all new for me, but that was a big point to touch on.
Nice. And it's going to make you feel super uncomfortable to try it, but just do it. Trust in the process.
Right.
Alberto?
A little bit of reverse psychology, which is always great, right? And then truly understanding what yes looks like. Not only just the concept, but dissecting it and how to actually get there using reverse psychology, right? So
Yep.
that was my biggest takeaway, is really understanding what yes looks like. When you
Nice.
finally, you need somebody.
Cool. Thank you, Alberto. Josh, close us out, man.
Yes, I think a lot of the times in upfront contracts, we touch on yes, and I don't even explain in my upfront contract as of right now what yes looks like. And so I think that could be a difference big time. And then that, as well as painting the picture and then making them do it. I hear you do it all the time, which means it works, and it has been working. And so I need to follow it too, make them do that scorecard and then protect them even if it's low.
Yeah, good. Great takeaways, gang, and I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. So have a good
Thanks,
Monday.
Brian. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.